Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Joe McCrae. I was born and raised in Peoria, and now live a little south of St. Louis in a small town called Hillsborough. You're here today to learn a little bit about, well, hopefully quite a bit about the legislative branch. Hopefully you've heard some of this from your good teachers in high school. Hopefully I can throw a few things in that you haven't heard. First of all, how many branches of government are there? Three. Okay. They are, which one? Okay, another? Judicial. Legislative, okay? In the next couple of days, you'll learn about the judicial and executive branch, and hopefully it'll go well. But just give you a little idea. What's the power of the executive branch? Yeah, back there.
To enforce the laws?
No. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. What size shirt are you?
Medium.
You get the last medium shirt.
Thanks, sir.
There. Okay. Enforce the law. What is a big power of the executive branch?
Like a veto.
Veto. What size shirt are you?
Small.
You're going to have to get some medium and large because I don't have huge smalls and mediums. Well, no more mediums. Okay. Veto. That's his power. Okay. The power of what the judicial branch is. No.
Make sure the laws are constitutional.
Okay. They enforce the law, right? Or they make sure it is a law. Okay. The judicial branch. And to give you a couple of examples. Okay. In the 19th or 1820s, there was gold found in northern Georgia on Cherokee land. The Cherokee were trying to assimilate into the United States, dress like Americans, speak like Americans, go to school and learn like Americans. And gold was found, and Americans rushed in there and tried to, and were taking over the land. They went to court. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said they can't do that. Okay, it's unlawful. Therefore, they have to leave. So then, who enforces the law? Executive branch. Executive branch. Okay. So the president said, "Okay." You know what the president did? And so what happened, keep going? And what was that called? Large?
Well, yeah.
Okay. The Trail of Tears. The president sent the military down there and said, hey, get them off, get them out of here. Okay? We don't want them there. And so they rounded them up and sent them westward. I lived on the west side of the Mississippi River, and the Trail of Tears came right around south of where I currently live. And they mainly settled in Oklahoma and basically said, this land is yours forever, as long as the grass shall grow and the rivers flow. Okay. Did that happen? No. Okay, no. Let's skip to the 1950s. Okay. A challenge to the Supreme challenge to law, separate but equal. Okay? Got the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, what did they say?
You can have separate but equal.
Yeah. This isn't separate. Separate and equal, no. It is not. Therefore, okay. And that was now the new law of the land. And in Little Rock, Arkansas, it was challenged. 9 young black children were enrolled in Little Rock Central High School, and were going to attend in the fall. When it came time, they were take it to the school. The governor had called out the National Guard and said, don't let them in. And they did. The president was Yeah. middle, small. That's the last thing. Okay. Eisenhower was the president. Now he had to make a decision. Okay? What are you going to do? Is he going to enforce the law? Okay? He did. He went from the National Guard and he said, okay, you're federalized. Okay? So tomorrow, when the young 9 black children come to school, you make sure they go. Well, that presented, I mean, they did for a little bit, but National Guard, who are they?
They're the state militia.
Yeah, state. So here, you're telling the Arkansas National Guard, who they live in Arkansas, that, okay, now you gotta make sure that the black children get to school. Now, your neighbors are going, you're a piece of crap, I can't believe you're doing that. You live with us, that's ridiculous. And so that was a problem. So Eisenhower, real test, what did Eisenhower do?
He walked with the children to school.
And how did he do that? This is real detailed, maybe too much detail.
You had the 101st come on?
Excellent, okay. He sent in the 101st Airborne Division. Large, small, extra, large. I don't know if I can get it back there. Yeah, close. He sent the 101st Airborne Division. Now, when I went into the Army, I was drafted. And I did my basic training in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. They're kind of serious, the 101st Airborne Division. And they went in there for the year. And they were there for a full year, making sure that those young black children went to school. So here you had two things. The Supreme Court saying this is the law. In one case, the executive branch saying, I'm not going to enforce it. And the next time in Brown versus Topeka Board of Education, yes, you are going to enforce it. And he did. So that gives you a little idea about the two. You've got 9 justices, and it changes every once in a while. They make about $270,000 a year, which sounds pretty good, except they're attorneys. And if they weren't on the Supreme Court, they could be making, at least a minimum of $1,000 an hour. And some of them, in big law cases, they could be making $3,000 or $4,000 an hour. I live in St. Louis area. When Cronkite moved the Cardinals out of St. Louis to Los Angeles, the city sued. It took about 10 years before it was the NFL and Cronkite said, okay, we'll pay. It was about $750 million, which is not bad. Of that $750 million, attorneys got $250 million of it. It's good to be an attorney, okay? Big time attorney, meaning $250 million. And I don't know how many attorneys were involved. But there's some examples, okay? The legislative branch is what we're going to talk about, DC and Illinois. What do?
They make laws and pass them.
They make the law, okay? And it's a law until the courts say it's not, okay? What size? Large? Yeah, I got plenty as well. Okay, so they make the laws, and boy, can they. Now, the legislative session is how many years?
Was that for 6 years?
Oh. 2. Okay, 2 years. So, In 26, we'll have another election and start a new session, okay? Every 2 years. And so, you know, the laws that they're making in that period of time, and I kind of looked it up, an average, approximately 10,000 bills are introduced every session. 10,000 bills. Fortunately, 158 are passed out of 10,000. 112 are signed into law. So it's a down process. You don't have a lot of, you know, bills passed. We can argue that there are too many bills passed, there's too many laws. But considering the prospect of 10,000, what are some of the duties of the legislative branch? Yes?
Declare war.
Yeah, they can declare war. When was the last time they declared war?
World War II.
Very good. Large or extra large?
Large, please, yeah.
Okay, last one. Now they're all extra large. Sorry guys. You had your head down, you're not supposed to be sleeping. Okay, they can declare war. What are some other things? The House can impeach, okay? Congress, only the House impeaches, okay?
Can't they override a president's veto?
Say what?
Can't they override a president's veto?
Yes, 2/3 they can override, they have that power. What's another one? Levy taxes, okay, appropriation, money, extra large. Okay. Another one? Treaties, okay, very good. Extra large? Okay. Okay, extra, so they make treaties. Appointments, okay, a new president comes in. I thought it was interesting because I'm kind of a Bill Clinton fan, partly because he went to Boys Nation, which 2 of you will be selected to go to Boys Nation at the end of the week. And while he was president, I was on the staff of Boys Nation. We went to the White House each year. And just a side note, he always did something special for Boys Nation because he had been there. One year, he had his picture taken, or I had my picture taken with him in the Oval Office, which is something bucket list, I never, you know, that's not something you ever think you're going to get to do. But that was pretty impressive, and I have that picture. So, treaty appointments. When he became president, I don't know why I remember this, 10,000 people in the government lost their jobs because they were appointees. Okay, all the cabinet. Okay, the cabinet, they lose their jobs because the new president's going to bring in his own people. And the same thing down the line. And Congress has to approve these people. You've seen that already this year. All the people that Trump has appointed to various things, most of them have been approved. There's been a few of them that, well, they didn't get approved. He pulled their name before they voted on it because they didn't have a chance of winning, getting the vote. So that's one of the big things, that he gets to appoint all these people. But treaties is also a big one. Presidents can sign treaties all over the place, whatever they want. But Congress has to approve it. The perfect example, or the great example, is at the end of World War I, the treaty end of World War I was which one?
Treaty of Versailles.
Treaty of Versailles, okay? And the president was? Wilson, very good, okay, Woodrow Wilson. Wilson goes, okay, take some people to Paris and have a good time on the taxpayer dime. So he rounded up some congressmen, a few senators, some other people. They took a boat to Paris, wined and dined, had a good time, and then went to Palace of Versailles. Anybody been there? No? Yeah, you have? pretty impressive place, isn't it? The mirrors. Okay. They went there and they signed. And everybody's clapping and okay, great. The war is over. So they went, Wilson and his friends got on the boat, came back, and he went to Congress and said, here's the treaty. And did they approve it? No. No. He didn't take the right people with him. And some of them in Congress, the Senate, said, no, we're not going to approve it. We wanted to go to Paris. The heck with you. And he goes, well, what are we going to do? Technically, the United States was still at war with Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey. Okay? You're going, oh, what do we do? Well, we had to negotiate a separate peace treaty with each one of those countries until something like about 1920 or 1921, when officially the United States was out of the war. So, a case where, Congress has power, okay, over the executive branch, a little bit over the judicial branch. Our two senators from Illinois are
Tammy Duckworth and Dick.
Tammy Duckworth and
Dick Durbin.
Dick Durbin. Can you wear an extra large? Okay. And, okay, before I give this to you, what's going to change? What's going to happen there?
He's retiring.
Okay. Dick Durbin is retiring. So, in 2026, you will all be 18. You will have to vote on an Illinois new senator. And while this isn't the electoral school, I would encourage you to vote every chance you get. Now, history is correct. You will vote. When you turn 18, you will vote. In the next election, you may vote. In the next election, you probably won't. From about 21 or 22 to usually about your mid-30s, you just don't vote for whatever reason. Oh, it doesn't make any difference. Or always an excuse. Now, when you hit about 50 to 55, you won't miss an election. I mean, older people do not miss elections. My parents never missed the election. Okay? And I'm an older person too. I don't miss the election. Even if it's not a meaningful election, I will vote. So I would encourage you to do that because veterans, actually, they were there fighting, protecting democracy so that you could vote. Okay? Requirements. You need to be 30. Okay, not a big deal. 9 years in residence. Okay? A few states have a little different one. New York basically says that if you're in the state on the day of the election, okay, you can run for office. You're going, okay, well, a few years ago, a person wanted to run for senator of New York, and so they ran. Got their name on the ballot, won the primary, they were in the general election, and won, even though they were not really a resident of New York. Anyway, anybody know where this is going?
Is it AOC?
No. They won. Hillary Clinton. She ran for senator, and she won. She didn't live in New York. Okay? So it was interesting. At least in Illinois, you've got to live here for a while. Okay? So, and it'll be very interesting in probably about another 6 months. And of course, a couple of people have already announced they're going to run for Durban seat. It'll be interesting. And you'll have a chance to elect a new senator, which is good. They make about $174,000 a year, which is, chump change if you're a senator. The Senate is known as the Millionaires Club. Every senator is at least worth $1 million. And most of them are worth a whole bunch more. I don't know, have you ever heard of Rockefellers? Okay. Heinz 57, their estimated worth is about $500 million. Okay, so 174,000 means absolutely nothing to them, which to me, it would be quite a bit of money. Okay? Plus side, 6-year term. So you run, got at least 6 years in office. The President Pro Tem of the Senate is, oh, well, yeah, I should have said Senate Majority Leader.
Oh.
Okay? You're right, though. Nobody? John Thune, from South Dakota. Okay? So he is. Let's go to the representatives, House of Representatives. You need to be 25. Okay. 7 years residence. You make $174,000. Okay. That's a little bit more. A friend of mine was elected, I'll get it to him in a second. He was elected to the House, and $174,000 was a lot to him because he would, at least the first year, he slept in his office. I don't know if you've ever been to D.C. D.C.'s expensive, and to rent an apartment or anything there is really expensive. Sometimes congressmen, 2 or 3 of them will rent a place and share the cost, so money means a little bit more to them. The downside is a 2-year term. As soon as you get elected, you start running again, because you've only got 2 years. Give you a little example of this. How many want to run for office? How many would like to be a politician? Okay, good, not many. We need good ones. We need good ones. I don't know, has anybody heard of Aaron Schock? Nobody? Anybody? Peoria? Are you from Peoria?
Oh, no, I've just heard his name.
Oh, okay, okay. He ran. Anybody from Peoria? What school do you go to?
I go to Ridgewood.
Okay, okay. Well, my school doesn't exist anymore. I went to Spalding. It's now Notre Dame. Congratulations. Have you heard of Aaron Schock?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know the story about him?
Yeah.
Aaron Schock decided to run for election. He was 18 years old, a high school senior. He ran for the school board and was elected. Okay, he's in school and he's on the school board. And so the school boards hire and fire teachers. So he's on the school board. Okay. A little bit later, he was elected president of the school board. Now he's 18, 19 years old. You're going, okay. In Illinois, you have to be 22 years old to run for the House. And at 22 years old, he ran for the Illinois House of Representatives and won. At 25, he ran for the U.S. Congress from his district, which is the Peoria area, it's not just Peoria. He ran for the U.S. Congress representative and won. Now, 25 years old, he's been rolling. At about 27, he is arrested, okay? Because he was not paying attention to the law. Lobbyists were saying, hey, Aaron, hey, the Bears are playing a game Sunday. Hey, you want to go to the game? We got suites and stuff. Yeah. They flew him out there. Want to go to a Bulls game? Yeah. You want to go to Hawaii for a conference? Yeah. He was a big time Downton Abbey fan. His office was completely decorated like Downton Abbey. Now, I've never seen the show, but it's a British show, and I guess they're really fancy and stuff. Now, he was arrested because he was misusing lobbyists. Lobbyists can only give you so much. It's limited. So it was like, okay, well, and they never did hear what really happened. Do you live up there? You know? I don't know if his case ever went to court.
He's free right now.
Okay. So he still hasn't gone to court.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to, you can. Here was a case, now, don't screw up like that. Now, my friend Michael Flanagan, who was on Boise State staff for several years, he ran for House of Representative in the Chicago district, and a strong Democratic district. He was a Republican. And the man that was the representative had gotten in trouble. I'm trying to come up with his name, but he got in trouble, and Mike won. Now, that day, he said you needed about $3 million to run for Congress. In which case, you need to raise about $5,000 a day to run to get to $3 million. Now, think about that. You're raising $5,000 a day to run for an office that'll only pay you $174,000. And so you got to go to these dinners and stuff, and I mean, that's an investment, $5,000 a day. He won. Okay, he won. 2-year term. So he starts running for the next one. He's getting more money poured in. The Republicans are helping him and stuff. He runs, and the Democrats find somebody to run against him. They pick the right guy, and Mike got beat. Okay? The guy that beat him was Rod Blagojevich. Ever heard of him? And what happened to Rod Blagojevich? He went to prison. Okay? Typical of Illinois politics. There was a stretch of time where the governor of Illinois, when he was out of office, went to prison. They'd done things in office. It was just a stretch. There were about 5 governors in a row that went to prison because of mismanagement of funds or whatever. Okay? The state legislature, most are bicameral. One is unicameral. One state has unicameral. Anybody know which one it is? No. They used to play decent football. Texas? No. Texas still plays, but anytime Texas plays, I hope they lose. No.
Maine?
No. Nebraska. What size shirt? Well, I only have one size left. Nebraska, okay? They have a unicameral. They don't have representatives and, where are you? Oh. Senate, they just have one, okay? So Illinois, the powers that the legislature, the General Assembly in Illinois has, one is they must follow the U.S. Constitution. Okay, given, must follow. Anything that is not delegated to the United States government, they have it. They can maintain a state militia. When I say things that are not the federal government, would it be smart to have Illinois have their own money? Because when you go to Indiana, what do you have to do? Change it. I mean, Europe before the euro, everywhere you went, every country you went, they had a different money system. So they went to the euro. Okay. Sending mail. Every state in the United States had their own mail system. It'd be a mess. So those kinds of things go to the federal government. The state militia, we're in the 51st state. Do we have a militia? Yeah. Okay, we have a militia. Established schools. The Topeka Board of the Brown versus Topeka Board of Education, the Supreme Court said one of the main duties of a state is to provide good education. And if you ever look at money spent on education, it is a big chunk of a state budget. I mean, schools are underfunded. I was a school teacher and we were underfunded, but that's just the way it is. enact on amendments, okay? There's only been 27 amendments, which is kind of unusual in over 200 years. The first 10 were immediate, so in our last 200 years, we've only changed the Constitution 17 times. The big push in the last several years has been 2 amendments. One is prayer in school. I'm going to have a constitutional amendment that says there should be prayer in school, which I always said there is prayer in school because every time I passed out a test, kids were going, please God, let me pass this. Okay? Or protection of the flag. Okay? Flagging them. Neither one have gone through. They've been brought up in almost every 2 years. You just can't get the votes to do it. And if they do, then it goes to the states, and the states have to. 45% of the states have to agree to it, which again is hard to do. So we don't like to change our Constitution very much at all. In the General Assembly, how many of you can name your state senator or representative?
My boss.
Okay, a few of you, not a lot of you, okay? Which is not unusual, okay? You just don't, in the state, has a lot of power to control your life, okay? You need to be 21 years old, as we said, with Aaron Schock. You must have to reside in the district for 2 years, and then Illinois is one of the top paid legislators. $60,000 a year is your base salary. Okay, fine. They meet 6 months a year, usually from January to May, early June. So only about 6 months. Vetoes, they'll come back in September, October if there's any vetoes. And so that kind of takes care of that. The big thing, laws that affect you. How many required courses do you have to have? What's the minimum? The state sets the minimum, and usually it's not very high, like 18 to 20 credits. Your school board then can add to it. They determine when you can drive. Okay, you live in Texas, last I looked, 14 did driver's license. Okay, Illinois obviously 16. Until the federal government stepped in, states had the power to set their own limit for alcohol. Okay, what age can you drink? Yeah. When I was young, it was 18 for women, and I think 19 or 20 for men. When she goes, that's not fair. So, when you, at that point in time, you dated an 18-year-old girl, because she could buy you beer or alcohol. Okay, so which is kind of interesting. And then they changed it. Louisiana, I remember, because went down there for something. You could drink it at 19. That was their state law. So that's what controls the state deal there. Pass a bill. Try to start winding this up. Okay, we're going to pass a bill. Need a volunteer. Okay, come on up. Oh. Okay, think about it. We need what do we need to change in Illinois? We're going to pass a bill, introduce a bill, pass a bill. Okay. What's your name? Bobby. Henry. Okay. Okay. Bobby is a senator or representative? You're a rep. Senators are better for it. Okay, he's a rep. And he's going to introduce a bill in the Illinois General Assembly. And the bill is going to be about, you got to think about this, or help him out.
Alcohol.
License. Alcohol. Alcohol.
Gambling.
Joe, what do we think? Alcohol.
I think gambling.
Gambling.
Alcohol.
Gambling. Gambling.
Yeah. Okay, what's the language of that? Okay, so you want to lower? Okay, 16, okay, workers per minute. And you're going to want to lower it.
Yep.
Okay, to what?
14.
14.
For what?
Okay, so he has the bill. Okay, he's going to introduce it in the House of Representatives. He's introduced it. Okay, what's the first thing that happens after a bill is introduced? No, not even close. Yes.
Did you get time to read it?
Well, yeah, that's just giving you read it.
Goes to committee.
Yes, very good. All I have is an extra large.
I'll take it, yeah.
Okay, I'll get it to you. You don't already have one, do you?
No, I was gonna give it to Billy Bob.
Raise your hand, raise your hand.
Okay.
He's the next one.
Okay, it's going to a committee, where the committee will then debate. And if you pay any attention like C-SPAN or anything, they have committees and various people come in to speak pro and con. The bigger the bill, the more important people come in to speak for it or against it. So it's in the committee. The committee says, okay, let's get some people. Who would be for this bill? Yeah, Fred. Well, I mean, give me specific people. Who would be for this bill?
People that own businesses.
Okay, very good. Yeah, business owners, because now they can hire younger people. Okay, they don't have to 16. Hey, got some 14-year-olds who want to work. Who else would be for it?
It'd be for the kids because they can start working earlier.
Yeah, the problem with your age, you can't vote. So elected people don't listen to you too much because you can't vote. But once you turn 18, they immediately start listening and saying, okay, what can we do?
Families with lower income.
Okay, families with lower income, good. You know, the younger kids can work.
The kids themselves that want to work.
Well, and like I said, yes, but you don't have the power because you're not a voter yet. So they're gonna go and go away. When you're 18, then come back.
The parents gets them out of the houses.
That school is what does that. Okay, but you're right, okay? The parents.
People paying taxes.
Oh, yeah, okay? An increase of taxes because they've got to pay taxes. There's no way around it.
Republicans.
Republicans?
Yeah.
Why?
Because like that would be creating more jobs, so like the economy would be growing.
Okay, that's iffy, but yeah, you may be right. Okay, who would be against it?
Teachers and anyone who does extracurriculars, because it'd be less time for schooling and all that.
Very good. Teachers and your extracurricular. I was a teacher and I had young men and women working, and I had first hour class, came in, and they're going, I'm tired, I didn't get home till midnight. What do you want me to do? You're here. Okay, so very good. Possibly, unions may not be much in favor because they're not going to unionize 14 and 16-year-olds.
I guess what's the point since they don't want to.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, could take jobs from people that are already working, yeah.
Business owners because children are liability.
Well, then we got a problem because some business owners are really for it and others not so much, so that could be both sides, but yes, so they come in and say, no, it's not a good thing, the others can say yes.
Parents are worried about their kids.
Yeah, parents, you know, going, I don't want my kid working. I want them to get good grades and so they'll get a good scholarship or whatever.
Workers, because the more young, when you insert more workers into the workforce, the price of labor is going to go down.
Okay, Okay, one more.
Maybe older people who are like looking for a job and like are worried that like young blood might be more favorable and they won't be able to get jobs.
Okay. Okay, so here our committee is hearing the pros and cons. Okay, and they're listening to it and you're going, okay. So after, let's say, a week of hearings, all of a sudden they go, okay, so they'll go back into their committee room and they'll vote. And they got really 3 or 4 ways of voting. They could vote favorably and send it to the floor with the recommendation that it should be passed. They could vote unfavorably, send it back to the floor of the House and say, we're against this. Or they can say, they'll send it to the floor and say, we have no stand on it, you do what you want. Or the fourth one is it never gets out of committee. Okay? So, yeah.
Can they make like recommendations?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Recommendation to pass, fail, or neutral, we don't care, whatever you want to do.
So they can like say, if you alter this, then yes.
Well, okay, hold that thought, okay? So they have this choice, okay? And as you found out, the big beautiful bill, one of my favorites is a woman, congresswoman from Georgia. Green is her name. She has 3 names, but Green is her last name. And they asked her about it. She goes, "Oh, I voted for it, but I never read it." Of course, it was a bill, the big beautiful bill, probably over 1,000 pages. And there was a part of it that she was absolutely against. She said, "If I'd known that, I wouldn't have voted for it." They don't read them, okay? Bobby's bill, they may not even read. They're going by what the committee said. So it gets there, and okay, they go, "Okay, Bobby, we think it's a great bill," and it passes. Now the problem is, what has to happen, and over here mentioned it, the Senate has to do the same thing. So if Bobby has a friend in the Senate, then he can introduce it, and the bills can be going through at the same time. And at the end, unless they're the same bill, if they get changed in the Senate, which is exactly what's happening now, if you're paying attention, the House passed this big beautiful bill. The Senate is saying, we're going to make some changes. So that's what they're doing now. So the House bill and the Senate bill have to be exactly the same. Okay? And let's say it works out. Bobby's bill is sent to the governor, and of course the governor has a chance. Sign it or veto it. Okay? And he's getting emails and texts and all kinds of stuff, people saying, vote against it, or don't sign it. Sign it, don't sign it. And so he makes the decision. Okay? He thinks Bobby's a good guy. He goes, hey, this is a decent bill. It passes. Okay, so then he signs it. And it becomes a law. He vetoes it, comes back in the fall, and then 2/3 to override it. Okay? How a bill becomes a law. I mean, thank you. About to wrap this up. A couple things. If you write your congressman or senator, and I encourage you to do it, you almost always will get a reply. I mean, they have staff that does it. I had a friend that worked in the Senate in Washington, D.C. He worked for a senator, and one of his jobs was to create a letter on the environment. So that if any letters came to the senator on the environment, he would read them, okay, and then go, okay, this, here's what the senator, and they'll send a letter back to you. The senator feels this and this and this and this. Thank you, and sign your feelings. Oh, the senator actually, they said this. This is great. Yeah, okay, but they will. Write them. One thing, make sure you spell the name correctly. Nobody likes, you get mail with your name spelled wrong. What do you do with it? Trash it. Okay, and it probably will happen. My name is McCrae, and constantly I would get things McGrath. For whatever reason, I have no idea. Okay, but do it. Don't be afraid. Tell them what you think. You're for this bill, you're against the bill. This is great. Don't threaten them. Authorities don't like that. This is a crappy bill, and if you vote for this, I'm gonna come by and blow your head off. Somebody's gonna be knocking on the door, and they're gonna go, did you send a letter? You sent a threatening letter. That's against the law, and you can be arrested. They're pretty serious about that. So don't threaten. Be concise, tell them why you're against it, and so on. Okay. Some laws that have been passed in the last year or two. This year, some new laws. Anyone under the age of 21 cannot order e-cigarettes from being ordered on or purchased online. And secondly, another one was to replace stolen license plates for free. You can't buy e-cigarettes online, it's against the law. And at least if you lose your license plate, they will replace it. One that is real interesting. How many of you have your license on your phone? Nobody? You can't, oh, okay. You can, get on your cell phone, get your license, so that if you're stopped or if they need your license, you click it up and show it to them. Okay? That's probably the way to the future. Digital license plates. Providing a phone to police does not give the police consent to search your cell phone. Okay? There's been a few cases, and I can't remember what state it was, but a policeman was stopping particularly young women and demanding their cell phone so he could check things, and he was going through it and finding pictures on there that were inappropriate of her and downloading them into his phone, which is kind of nasty. They caught him. But if you get a chance and you say, well, then I don't have to carry a driver's license. I've always got my phone. You can click it up, and it works. Another one that is kind of interesting for you, the Parental Consent Act. The act would prevent minors from creating social media accounts without parents' approval. Plus, it stipulates that a company cannot allow a minor living in the state to access social media platform between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So, if your mom or dad says, no, you can't create a social media account. And you can't be on that from 10 to 6. Now, once again, how's it enforced? Kind of like driving and texting. It's against the law. How often is it enforced? Okay. Another one, no corporal punishment in any school, private, public, or charter. Okay. I'm sure that's probably been around for a long time. I don't know any schools that do corporal punishment anymore. Cyberbullying includes posting or distributing sexually explicit images, including those made by AI. Have any of you read things about, a guy getting back at his girlfriend, finds a picture of some nude woman, puts her face on it, puts it out there. And it's like, that's against the law. Now, at least in Illinois. Okay? So, don't do it. Hey, if she breaks up with you, move on. You know how many women are in the world? Approximately 3 billion. There's got to be at least a half billion out there. Just as good. Okay. Just a couple more. Clarifies that no vehicle can be stopped or searched solely on the basis of objects placed or suspended between the driver and the front windshield. Basically hanging on the driver's light or the rear view mirror. Against the law. Ensures that schools consider students as being in attendance if the student is absent, participate in Future Farmers of America. So you can, if you're a future farmer, you can get, if they can't dock you a school day, okay? Provides the person's right, the passive private right of action against individuals who commit offenses of doxing. Removes the requirement that a motorcyclist under the age of 18 must complete a motorcycle driver's test. Okay, so you don't have to do that. And when you know the General Assembly is really serious, establishes October as Italian Heritage Month. You're going, okay, that really important. Here you come more. Declares the eastern milk snake as the official snake of the state of Illinois.
What snake?
Milk snake. And I mean, somebody, it's important, why would you waste your time in Congress doing this in the General Assembly? Designate August 1st as Sweet Corn Appreciation Day. All right. August 1st. And my personal favorite, the official pie of Illinois, which is?
Pumpkin pie.
Very good. Illinois produces more pumpkins than any state in the union. Anybody from Morton area? Morton is where Libby has a can plant, and they produce something like 85 to 90% of pumpkin in a can. And so it's the official. Just a couple of others. One of my personal favorites is hunters can now hunt with glazed pink instead of or in place of glazed orange. Pink is harder for deer to see and easier for hunters to see. So guys, you can wear pink when you're hunting. Yes. Another one that is interesting, and it's been used a few times, I've read in the paper. Legal order of protection takes guns away for up to 6 months. Police, family members, or friends of a violent person could ask the courts for an order of protection. That's been happening. That's happened a couple times where a parent has said, "My son, he's got these guns and he's a little crazy," and so the police come in and take the guns for up to 6 months. Okay. Well, the one you know is that if you're there at a party or something, and someone is drunk and passed out and having a problem, call the police, and they come there and you won't be arrested even though you've been drinking. Okay. Same way with drugs. Same thing. So if somebody is there and you're dying, and you're going, I don't want to call the police because I'm high on drugs or something. Do it. They can't arrest you. Just a couple others. Here you go. School code to allow for up to 5 days of excused mental or behavioral health absence for students without need to provide a medical note. 5 days. Mentally, I'm just not feeling good. I need 5 days. Okay. But that doesn't mean you get to skip your homework again. The other one, I can't find it right now, which is important. If you want a campaign, well, in another year there'll be a campaign. You get a day, in Illinois, you get a day off to go out and campaign. So that's not. So those are some laws that affect you. And the one I think is real important is the one with the driver's license on your phone. Police can't check your phone for anything else against the law. So, gentlemen, have a good senior year. Have a good rest of the week.